We've had a bit of a turnaround today, but the markets do appear to remain quite choppy and directionless at the moment. Would you agree?
Yes, definitely. I think after you hit those highs over the last few months, there's been a lot of profit taking, and people are deciding whether there is green shoots in their economies and whether they should carry on buying or take profit now. So we are seeing very choppy trade.
And we have seen coming through in the mornings, while we're obviously following the Dow and S&P futures, China also seems to be a bit of a motivator for local markets at the moment, Rob.
Well, yeah, definitely for the emerging economies. Obviously, it's a commodity buyer, and as that economy starts to increase and improves, so the emerging market economies that are commodity-based improve as well. So we watch that very closely.
Well, talking about green shoots, we had some news through from the US yesterday that oil inventories were down, and that, of course, sent the oil price sharply higher. Is this a sign of green shoots in the US economy?
Well, oil is a leading indicator in whether economies are improving, and use of oil obviously is a good sign. Whether that is coming from a constraint in supply or whether it's coming from demand, we're going to have to wait and see. But if it is coming from demand, it is a very good sign that American economy is improving.
And of course, that's had a positive effect on commodity prices and, of course, our market this morning.
Yes, commodity prices lifted up quite a lot after that inventory number, which is very positive, and you can see some money coming back into the commodity-driven economies like ourselves. You see that rand strengthening quite considerably overnight. As that money starts to come in, they're buying up our Anglos, Billitons and Sasol, and looking quite positive for us on our stock exchange.
Well, we had some mixed news out of the UK this morning. UK budget deficit of £8 billion, and that was against expectations of 600 million, you were telling me a little bit earlier, and quite a scary number.
It is. You just see how much money they're pumping into the economy and into mortgages, etc., and a very big deficit for England. 500 or 600 million and now 8 billion. It was a very big change in the number, and a problem for the fiscal going forward.
Of course, on the reverse side, we also had retail sales figures out for July in the UK, and they grew by 3.3% year on year, and that was also higher than expected, wasn't it?
Yes, I think they're expecting about 2.6%, and 3.3% came in, which is very positive for them. Obviously, people coming back into the shopping area, starting to buy some goods for themselves after a good 6 months of saving and getting rid of debt.
Could that be a signal that the UK is about to emerge from its recession?
It's a slight sign that the consumer is looking a little bit better. I think their housing data is not fantastic still. I still think it's slightly too early.
Okay, we had a couple of results out here this morning. We had Grinrod reporting a 56% fall in profits, but of course that was largely in line with the trading update that it put out last month. And of course, not bad results given the environment for shipping companies at the moment, I would think.
No, the numbers are very similar to the big miners. I think Rio came out with numbers that were down 65%, and obviously a lot of their shipping comes from the mining industry. One of the problems there is that they've just purchased a lot of new ships, and there's already an oversupply of ships at the moment around the world. So we'll have to wait and see if they can get rid of the older ships and sell those older ships and keep the balance right. But otherwise, not a bad set of results.
And of course, the financial crisis last year must also have impacted on Grinrod as letters of credit dried up.
Yes, obviously, when you're looking for credit to import stuff into your own country, the banks aren't giving you that, and obviously a lot of orders fell through because of that, and those letters of credit's just not coming through. So that affected Grinrod quite a lot. And as the credit markets start to ease up, we should see an improvement for Grinrod.
How about those results from Exxaro? What did you think of those?
More or less in line with what we were expecting. They were slightly lower than Nedbank's forecast, but they had one or two good positive signs. One of them is the export of coal. They've exported 86% more coal this year than they did last year, and they've done 2.4 million tonnes of export, and they've got a capacity of about 4 million. So the coal export's looking really good, and on the iron ore side also looking much better. The mineral sands projects still losing money and a disappointing part of their results, but they only do make up about 10% of Exxaro's results. Looking forward, the company is not overly optimistic, and they expect commodity prices, well, their coal and iron ore prices to be lower going forward into the second half, and we expect earnings to come down in the second half of the year.
How about the dividend there, Rob?
They paid a dividend, I think it was 50% lower, but at least they did pay a dividend, which was quite positive. It's something to look at going forward. Will they increase that dividend payment or not? They have got some expansion projects going through, also increase in Sishen, iron ore project, but a little bit disappointing on that dividend side.
Of course, we had the announcement this morning from MTN and Bharti where they've extended their talks for another month. This is the second extension they've given for those talks. Do you think there are problems putting this deal together, Rob?
There has to be a few problems that we haven't foreseen. This is, again, they've extended for another month. And I think what's happening there possibly is that they would like cash rather than shares. And I think Bharti may be battling to find extra cash for that purchase. Zain is also looking to sell some of their assets, which would link quite nicely into MTN's assets. And MTN might see that it would be better to buy some assets rather than doing a joint venture.
Now, of course, previously we had expected Bharti to come back perhaps with a sweetened offer for MTN because shareholders weren't really happy with what was being put on the table previously. And I see MTN's share price is currently 1.5% lower, trading at 125 Rand 39. So investors aren't really looking for much more at this stage and really seem to be sitting back and waiting for news.
I think so. I think if they did pay extra, it would be around the 140 level, if they did put in an extra bit of cash there. But I think MTN itself, as a long-term investment, irrespective of the Bharti deal, is still a very good purchase. I think going forward, they're very aggressive into Africa, and they're looking good as a company just by themselves. So I think investors are still interested in MTN besides the Bharti deal, which I think is showing signs of cracking at the moment.